Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, What the Beck. Today, it's been about a year since I started my YouTube channel, which means I've run out of room in my Dingbats journal for my bullet journaling. So I have a brand new Archer and Olive journal. The reason I got an Archer and Olive journal was because I saw a bunch of other people using them, and they make a lot of claims about the paper quality and what kinds of medium you can use on it. So I figured I'll give it a try. And I actually bought this back in December, I think, and it was shipped in February of this year because I got like a commission that would cover about half the cost of it. So I treated myself to a nice new journal, and now I have it ready to use. So before I open this up, I'm gonna just go over some of the details about it. So it is an A5 size journal, which is the same size as my previous one. It is blue, as you can see, with a little golden embossed bee on the front. And this design is called Vintage Bee. And as I said before, I pre-ordered it, so it's been sitting on my shelf for about 2 or 3 months now, so I'm ready to break into it. It was $30, which seems like a lot for a journal, but it does make some claims. No ghosting or bleeding, perfect for markers, fountain pens, and even paint, and I'll put that to the test in a little bit. But I figured it would be worth it to pay $30 for this journal because of those claims, if they're true, which we'll see. As you can see, it's 160 GSM, which is basically saying this is nice paper, it's thick, it can hold up to what you want to put on it. And there are 160 dot grid pages, and you can get your own from archerandolive.com. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the details. The packaging is really nice. I like the scallop edge on this. It's like a nice little detail, and the foiling is consistent on the packaging here, like here, which is just cool. It makes it look like unified. But I'm gonna just go ahead and take this plastic off, and then we'll get into it. So hi, it's been about 2 weeks since I filmed that part of the video, and that's because, as you may have noticed, I use this journal to set up June in my bullet journal. Obviously this is my bullet journal, and I did a bee theme, if you can see here. So I had to open it up, so I filmed that before I took the packaging off, and now I've been using it for about 2 weeks, as I said, and I'm just gonna continue with the review, going over things that I've noticed so far, as well as testing some things out. So there were a few features that I didn't go over in the last section of the video, so I'm just gonna go over those now. As you can see, there is an elastic band that goes around the journal like this, and I value this because over time journals kind of expand, and this helps them like stay shut, not necessarily stay flat, because they like warp over time depending on what material you use. But I like that it has this to help it like stay together, just in case there's anything in here as a bookmark or not glued down yet, like if you want to put movie tickets or like memory keeping type stuff in here, you can do that, and the band will help hold it down. The other thing is these two bookmarks, and I'm not sure if this is the way that I have them in here, but it looks like one is longer than the other, which is interesting because I was thinking that since they have since they are both the same color, I thought it might be difficult to tell which one is which. I mean, one is a little bit shorter than the other. It's kind of negligible in my opinion. So if you want them to be different, you could like color the end like black, and then you would know which one is which. Or you could just cut one shorter than the other one. Like for me, I put one on my monthly habit tracker and one on my current task list for the week. So I've been doing fine so far. I thought I would be confused more, but it's really not that hard to just like, if you flip to the wrong page, you just grab the other one and flip to the right page. The other thing on here is this pen loop, and you might know my favorite pen, the Inkjoy Gel. It's made with a rubber grip, but my last journal, the pen loop was too small to put this in, so I had to make or not make, but I put another like pre-made pen loop on that was bigger so it could hold this. This one actually can fit this type of pen, which I'm very excited about. And there is a little bit of resistance because it's got like rubber at the end. It's friction, so it's hard to get in, but once it's in there, it's not really coming out unless you want it to. So I appreciate that. Another thing that I really like is this pocket at the back because it gives me room to store all my stickers and stuff. And I've been trying to put more stickers in the back. The pocket actually expands like that, but I've been trying to put more stickers in the back of my planners because I keep finding myself traveling around and not with my planner supplies. So I'm trying to put like the essentials or like the basics in the pockets, and that way I have them ready for when I'm traveling. The other thing on this page is I did count how many squares there were on the height and width of each page, and there's 26 squares across and 38 tall. So if you want to make like a monthly habit tracker, you're gonna have to turn it sideways, but again, it's an A5 size journal. There's really not that much you can do. Like if you take a look at how big the dots are, if you made the squares much smaller, it would be really hard to write in, and it would just be more difficult, I guess. But yeah, the only pre-printed page in this book is the front page like this. I haven't filled it in yet just because I was trying to get my month set up right away. But yeah, it tells you where the website is in case you want to buy another one. Gives you a place to write your information in case you lose your book. And yeah, so that's just the stuff that it comes with. So now we're going to take a look and do a pen test, because obviously you need to test your pens out. I've already tested a Sharpie on this just because I wanted to know if I could use it. There's very minimal bleeding or ghosting. You can kind of see it here. But I'm going to test out a thicker Sharpie too and some other pens. Okay, so now is the moment of truth. I tested 6 pens and now we get to look. So yeah, the claims are true. You don't see any shadowing or ghosting except with the Sharpie, which I'm not really sure if there's any paper that won't bleed with a Sharpie, at least not that can be bound into journal form. Like this is pretty thick paper. So I'm pleased with that, and you could use a Sharpie if you were very careful, and it probably, like, if you wrote Sharpie on that side and Sharpie on this side, the contrast between the black on the white on both sides, you really can't tell that it's shadowing, so you could get away with that if you really wanted to. Just don't leave the tip on the paper for too long. And yeah, so now I'm going to test out the watercolor holding abilities. I am not a watercolor artist. I just have these to play around with. This is my first like set of watercolors that I've ever had as like a, I don't know, like an artist grade kind of, or I'm not sure, is it student grade or artist grade? I'm not sure yet. But yeah, so I have these. I'm gonna go with black, and we're just gonna go at it here. So as you can see, I had pretty much full coverage. It's still drying a little bit, but I'm gonna make a wash as well and then let that dry and do another wash over it and then see if it pills up or anything like that, because that is something that we don't want. So as you can see, it's kind of giving like the opposite texture that putting salt on watercolor does, which is like speckling. When you put salt on watercolor, it kind of makes white spots, but this is making like darker. So I'm not sure if that's like the paper pilling or what. They don't seem to be moving, so I'm not sure. But I'm going to continue to let this dry, put another layer on top, and then we'll look at it again. Okay, so it's not entirely dry, but I'm just doing this for the sake of doing this. I'll add another layer. We'll do blue this time, just to get a little bit of variance and see. I don't think that this will bleed onto the other side, but it's nice to see how the paper reacts. That way, if you want to do like a spread for the beginning of a month, then you know what the paper's going to do with your paints, and that way you can like plan for that or incorporate it or steer away from using watercolor because you know it'll do that. So yeah, it looks like the water has gone through, which makes sense because it's paper, it's going to soak up water. So I'm going to let this dry completely and then come back and see if it's shadowing on the back. It's kind of taking a really long time to dry, which is something you might want to keep in mind. But on this side, which was the side with only the gray color that is mostly dry, you can still see the little dots on the other side, but it's not bleeding color really. It's just like the water is there. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this would be fine if you did some light watercolor in it. Just don't go over the same area too many times, or else, as you can see, all of this like spotting will happen. It'll be more concentrated if you do more layers. But yeah, simple shapes and just like a wash as a background could be really nice to have in a journal. So you could try those out if you want to. It seems to have like gotten onto this other page too, so keep that in mind. You might want to put a throwaway piece of paper under it and then do your watercoloring. That way it won't bleed to the other side. But yeah, so overall, I'm not going to close this because it's still wet, but overall I think this is a very good quality journal. I love the design. When I first wanted to buy a notebook from Archer and Olive, I went to look on the website and they had some that were a bit too feminine for my taste, and they were kind of like Erin Condren-y, where they're like, no offense to the women, but I don't generally like gravitate towards those kind of flowery, pinky designs. But they did have this one, and this was really nice because I have a special interest in bees. I was researching bees for a long time, a couple summers ago, so they still have a good place in my heart, and we all need to save the bees. So I figured, why not get the bee one, and it's blue, which is like a nice contrast from my orange journal from before. And now I eventually want to have like a full rainbow of journals and I can put them out and they'll be pretty on my shelf. But yeah, the claims that they make about the paper are true. It's very thick and it can take a lot of different materials without like ghosting or shadowing. I'm actually very surprised that it can take Sharpie. This is like a big deal to me because a lot of my friends are like Sharpie addicts. Not like they sniff them constantly, but like they love to use Sharpies because they like the color range or they like the thickness of the tip of it. So you can use Sharpie in this if you're careful. Don't just like color a whole page black and expect the back to not be splotchy. But yeah, so I recommend this journal. It is a pretty hefty price. I'm actually thinking of making a video talking about why people spend a lot of money on their journals. But for now, I'll just say I think it's personally worth that price because of the paper quality and the fact that it stands up to their claims. They have all of these extra additions like the pen loop, the elastic band, the pocket in the back, and these bookmarks. So I recommend this. If you want one, you can go to the website that's linked in the description, and I'll see you in my next video. If you like this video, please like it with your thumbs and then subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. I make them every Sunday and some Wednesdays. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.